1 tablespoon of baker's yeast dissolved in a gallon of warm water with a spoonful of molasses. That is it. That is the recipe that got over 1 million views on YouTube this year, and it works because yeast feeds the beneficial microbes already living in your soil. But that is just one recipe. There are at least 7 more using nothing but pantry ingredients, each one targeting a different problem tomato growers deal with every summer, from blossom end rot to low fruit set to pale leaves. Nobody was paying attention to yeast as a garden ingredient 10 years ago. It sat in a jar at the back of the kitchen cabinet, and nobody thought twice about it. Then a few gardeners started experimenting with bread yeast in their watering cans, posting results on forums, and now researchers at the National Institutes of Health have published reviews confirming that culturable yeasts act as biofertilizers by solubilizing phosphorus and producing growth hormones that roots absorb directly. Your kitchen cabinet has been holding a soil amendment this whole time. Today you are getting 9 homemade recipes for tomato plants, every one of them made from things you already own, every one of them targeting a specific tomato problem that commercial fertilizers charge you $10 to $15 a bottle to fix. Number 1. The yeast and molasses soil drench. This is the recipe from the hook, and it deserves a full breakdown because the science behind it matters. According to a review published by the National Institutes of Health, yeasts promote plant growth through multiple pathways, including phosphate solubilization, phytohormone production, and siderophore synthesis. In plain English, yeast helps unlock nutrients that are already trapped in your soil and makes them available to tomato roots. Think of it like hiring a translator for your garden. The food is there. Your tomatoes just could not read the menu. The recipe is simple. Dissolve 1 tablespoon of active dry baker's yeast in 1 gallon of warm water. Add 1 tablespoon of unsulfured molasses and stir until it dissolves. Let the mixture sit for about 2 hours at room temperature so the yeast can activate, and then pour it around the base of your tomato plants. The molasses feeds the yeast, and the yeast feeds the microbes in your soil. Apply this once every 2 to 3 weeks during the growing season. Do not pour it on the leaves. This is a root zone drench. The key detail people miss is the molasses. According to Gardening Know-How, molasses provides food for healthy soil microbes, and greater microbial activity means healthier plants overall. Without the molasses, the yeast has nothing to eat and the effect is minimal. 1 tablespoon of molasses per gallon is the sweet spot. Use unsulfured molasses specifically. Sulfured molasses contains residual sulfur dioxide from the refining process, and that can suppress the very microbes you are trying to feed. Number 2. The eggshell calcium tea. Blossom end rot is the black sunken patch that shows up on the bottom of your tomatoes right when they are about to ripen. It ruins the fruit completely. The cause is a calcium uptake problem, and the most common fix at the garden center is a calcium spray that costs $8 to $12 per bottle. Your kitchen trash has a free alternative. Save your eggshells. Rinse them, let them dry, and crush them into small pieces. The finer you crush them, the faster the calcium dissolves. Drop the crushed shells from roughly a dozen eggs into a quart jar of water, seal it, and let it sit for about a week. The water slowly pulls calcium carbonate out of the shells. After a week, strain out the shell fragments and dilute the liquid at a ratio of 1 part eggshell water to 4 parts clean water. Pour it around the base of your tomato plants every 2 weeks starting when the first flowers appear. A couple of things to understand here. Eggshell calcium is not a fast-acting emergency treatment. It builds up in the soil over time and prevents the problem before it starts. If your tomatoes already have blossom end rot, this will not reverse existing damage, but it will help the next round of fruit develop properly. The earlier you start, the better. Begin the eggshell tea applications the same week your plants set their first blossoms. That timing matters more than the concentration. You can speed up the process by drying the eggshells in a low oven and then grinding them into a fine powder with a coffee grinder before soaking. The powder dissolves faster and releases more calcium per batch. Some gardeners also add a splash of vinegar to the jar, which helps break down the shells through an acid reaction. Either method works. The point is to get calcium into the water and the water into the root zone before the first fruit starts sizing up. Number 3. The banana peel potassium soak. Once your tomato plants start flowering, their potassium demand goes through the roof. Potassium drives fruit development, strengthens cell walls, and according to research on tomato nutrient profiles, it increases the concentrations of fructose and glucose in the fruit. That is why potassium-fed tomatoes taste sweeter. It is not a marketing claim. It is sugar chemistry. Take 3 or 4 banana peels, chop them roughly, and drop them in a quart jar of water. Seal the jar and let it sit for about 5 days. The water turns brown and slightly funky smelling, which is strain out the Peels. Dilute the liquid 1:1 with clean water and pour it around the base of your tomato plants. Apply every 2 weeks once flowering begins. Banana peels are one of the richest kitchen sources of potassium available. A single peel contains a meaningful dose of this nutrient, and when you soak them, the potassium leaches into the water in a form that tomato roots can absorb. The leftover peel mush goes into the compost pile, nothing wasted. If you do not want to wait 5 days, you can blend fresh banana peels with water in a kitchen blender, strain the mixture through a cheesecloth, and use the liquid immediately. The blending breaks open the cell walls and releases the potassium faster than soaking does. The banana peel handles potassium. The next recipe handles something tomato growers fear far more: disease. Number 4. The aspirin foliar spray. This one sounds like an old wives' tale until you read the research. When you dissolve a regular aspirin tablet in water and spray it on tomato leaves, you are delivering a close relative of salicylic acid, a compound that tomato plants already produce naturally when they are under attack. Gardeners who spray aspirin water before disease season report fewer infections throughout the summer. The treatment triggers something called systemic acquired resistance. Think of it like a flu shot for your tomato plants. The aspirin does not fight the disease. It tells the plant to start building its own defenses before the disease arrives. Crush 1 regular strength aspirin tablet, which is about 325 milligrams, and dissolve it in 1 gallon of water. Add 2 or 3 drops of liquid dish soap so the spray sticks to the leaves instead of beating up and rolling off. Spray both the tops and bottoms of the leaves in the morning so the foliage dries before nightfall. Apply every 2 to 3 weeks, starting about 2 weeks after transplanting. This spray will not cure an existing infection. It is a preventive measure that primes your tomato plant's immune system. Use it before the fungal season hits, not after. The dish soap is not optional. Without it, the spray slides right off the waxy leaf surface and does nothing. And do not increase the dose thinking more aspirin means more protection. Too much salicylic acid can stress the plant and stunt growth. 1 tablet per gallon is the limit. Number 5. The Epsom Salt Magnesium Boost. Yellowing leaves between the veins on your lower tomato leaves usually means one thing: magnesium deficiency. And that box of Epsom salt under your bathroom sink is pure magnesium sulfate. According to Gardening Know-How, tomatoes thrive when supplemented with magnesium in the form of Epsom salts. Dissolve 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt in 1 gallon of water and apply it at the base of each plant. You can also use it as a foliar spray at the same concentration, which delivers the magnesium faster through the leaves. Apply once a month during the growing season, not more. Overdoing magnesium can interfere with calcium uptake, and calcium is the nutrient preventing blossom end rot. 1 tablespoon per gallon. Once a month is the ceiling. The timing trick with Epsom salt is applying the first dose when you transplant your tomato seedlings into the garden. Add 1 tablespoon to the planting hole, mix it into the soil, then set the transplant in. This gives the roots a magnesium reserve right from the start. The common mistake is waiting until the leaves turn yellow, and by then the plant has already been stressed for weeks. Magnesium also plays a role in photosynthesis. It sits at the center of every chlorophyll molecule, which means a magnesium-deficient plant cannot convert sunlight into energy efficiently. The yellowing is not cosmetic. The plant is losing its ability to feed itself. But the next recipe has nothing to do with feeding. It protects. Number 6. The baking soda fungicide spray. Early blight and powdery mildew are 2 of the most common fungal diseases that hit tomato plants during warm, humid summers. The brown spots start on the lower leaves and creep upward until the whole plant looks scorched. Commercial fungicide sprays run anywhere from $8 to $15 per bottle. A box of baking soda costs about $1. Mix 1 tablespoon of baking soda with 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil and a few drops of liquid dish soap in 1 gallon of water. The baking soda raises the pH on the leaf surface, and fungi need a neutral pH to survive. The oil helps the mixture coat the leaf, and the soap breaks the surface tension so it spreads evenly. Spray every 7 to 10 days during humid weather, and always after rain washes the previous application off. This spray works best as prevention and for early-stage infections. If your tomato plants have severe blight with large brown patches covering multiple leaves, baking soda alone will not stop it. But if you start spraying before the disease shows up, you can keep leaves clean through most of the summer. Begin applications in early summer when humidity rises and continue through the season. 1 caution: do not double the baking soda concentration thinking it will work twice as well. Too much sodium bicarbonate on the leaf surface can burn the foliage, especially in hot weather. 1 tablespoon per gallon is the tested ratio. Stick with it. Number 7. The coffee grounds nitrogen side dress. If you like this kind of practical, budget-friendly garden advice, consider subscribing. There is more coming every week. Tomato plants are heavy nitrogen feeders, especially during the early vegetative growth phase, when they are building stems and leaves before flowering begins. Spent coffee grounds contain a modest amount of nitrogen, along with smaller amounts of phosphorus, potassium, and trace minerals like magnesium and copper. That makes them a slow-release nitrogen source that will not burn your plants the way synthetic fertilizer can if you over-apply. The correct method is a side dress, not a top dress. Dig a shallow trench about 2 inches deep in a ring around your tomato plant, roughly 6 to 8 inches from the stem. Sprinkle a thin layer of spent coffee grounds into the trench and cover them with soil. This buries the grounds below the surface where soil microbes can break them down into plant-available nitrogen. Leaving coffee grounds sitting on top of the soil creates a crusty layer that repels water and can grow mold. Buried is better. Apply a thin layer once every 3 to 4 weeks during the first half of the growing season. Cut back on coffee ground applications once your tomato plants start setting fruit heavily. At that stage, too much nitrogen pushes the plant to grow more leaves at the expense of fruit. You want the plant focusing its energy on ripening tomatoes, not producing more foliage. The switch from nitrogen-hungry to potassium-hungry happens right around first fruit set, and that is exactly when you should shift from coffee grounds to the banana peel recipe from number 3. One more note on coffee grounds. Use spent grounds only, not fresh. Fresh grounds are more acidic and can lower your soil pH more than you want. Spent grounds have already had most of their acid extracted during brewing, which makes them gentler and more predictable. If you do not drink coffee, most coffee shops will give you their spent grounds for free if you ask. They throw away bags of the stuff every day. Number 8. The milk antifungal spray. Milk as a fungicide sounds like something your great-aunt made up, but it has been tested repeatedly and the results are consistent. When diluted milk is sprayed on leaves and exposed to sunlight, the proteins react with sunlight and appear to damage mildew spores on contact. The fungus cannot survive on a leaf that has been treated with milk because the chemistry on the surface destroys the spores on contact. Mix 1 part milk to 9 parts water. Whole milk, skim milk, or even powdered milk reconstituted with water all work. Spray both sides of the tomato leaves in the morning when there is enough sunlight for the reaction to happen. Spraying at dusk does nothing because the proteins need ultraviolet light to generate the antifungal compounds. Apply once or twice a week during periods of high humidity or when you first notice white powdery spots on the leaves. This spray is specifically effective against powdery mildew, which shows up as white, dusty patches on the upper leaf surface. It is not the same as early blight, which creates brown spots. For early blight, use the baking soda recipe from number 6. For powdery mildew, milk is your best kitchen weapon. The two sprays complement each other and cover the 2 most common fungal threats to tomato plants. You can even alternate them on a weekly schedule, baking soda 1 week and milk the next, and keep both types of fungus at bay without spending a cent on commercial products. Number 9. The wood ash potassium and pH adjuster. If you have a fireplace, a fire pit, or a charcoal grill, you have been throwing away one of the best tomato supplements available. According to the Alabama Cooperative Extension System, wood ash contains roughly 5% potassium along with calcium, magnesium, and a collection of trace minerals. It also raises soil, which matters because tomatoes prefer a slightly acidic to neutral soil between 6.0 and 6.8. The application method matters more than the amount. Sprinkle a thin dusting of wood ash no more than a 1/4 inch around the base of each tomato plant in a ring about 8 to 10 inches from the stem. Lightly scratch it into the top inch of soil with a hand cultivator. Do this once at planting time and once more at mid-season. Do not over-apply. Wood ash is alkaline, and too much of it will push your soil pH above 7, which locks out iron and manganese and creates new problems. A light touch twice per season is plenty. The ideal scenario is combining wood ash with the banana peel soak from number 3. The banana peel water delivers water-soluble potassium quickly, and the wood ash provides a slower, longer-lasting potassium source, plus the pH buffering effect. Together, they cover both the fast and slow potassium needs that tomato plants have during fruit development. One detail worth noting: only use ash from untreated, natural wood. Ash from pressure-treated lumber, painted wood, or charcoal briquettes with lighter fluid additives contains chemicals you do not want anywhere near food plants. Hardwood ash from oak, maple, or hickory has the highest potassium content. Softwood ash from pine works but delivers less potassium per handful. 9 recipes. 9 problems solved. Every ingredient came from the kitchen, the bathroom cabinet, or the fireplace. Not one of them required a trip to the garden center or a bottle with a $20 price tag. The yeast drench feeds your soil microbes. The eggshell tea prevents blossom end rot. The banana peel soak sweetens your fruit. The aspirin spray arms your plants against disease. The Epsom salt corrects yellowing leaves. The baking soda fights fungal infections. The coffee grounds fuel early growth. The milk spray destroys powdery mildew. And the wood ash delivers potassium while keeping your soil pH in the right range. Your grandmother kept a jar of eggshells soaking on the windowsill. She sprinkled coffee grounds around the roses. She never bought a single bottle of plant food in her life, and her tomatoes tasted better than anything at the grocery store. That was not luck. That was knowledge. The kind that a shelf full of commercial products was designed to make you forget. If you want more kitchen-tested garden advice, there is plenty more on the channel.